welcome back to Ghosts. We are shedding light
Hey, everybody.
on the UK series. I am, of course, joined with my co-host, the wonderful, the amazing, the ghostly B Money. What's going on, buddy?
Hey,
Mm.
B Money. I gotta figure out how to do that. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It has become quite hot,
Yeah, good.
and we before our show. This is like behind the scenes of our podcast. I got one of those like Timu air conditioners. You just put ice and a little bit of water in it, and like the condensation
Mm,
fills, and it kind of just blows this really cool air on me, and I'm feeling really good
that's
right now because
nice.
it's very hot out.
Yeah,
I don't like summer. I don't do well with summer.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the heat, especially if you have
Yeah.
humidity with
Ugh, forget it. Forget it. Maybe I need to move out west by you. It sounds like
it.
the weather's nicer over there.
Yeah, it's more moderate than the East Coast.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
we,
I
we
mean,
get all 4 seasons. We don't get a ton of snow, but we still get some.
so like we get winter for a so it's like fall, winter, spring, summer. You know what I mean? Like just some of the seasons are really tiny, and then the other ones are just like forever. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting in.
Well, I like fall and spring.
Me too. Spring doesn't like me because my allergies
Yeah,
start
they're
to
not too
flare
hot,
up.
not too cold.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah, mine too.
yeah. Is it bad out
Especially
there
with
for
cottonwood
you?
all flying around.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it can be.
yeah. This year was awful.
We have the cottonwood that flies around, and that's
Same.
unpleasant.
Yeah, same. Well, I mean, it's not flying around. Well, actually, ghosts are flying around in this particular episode that we will be shedding light on, and that is
We,
season.
yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Well, we do have Chris flying around in the other show.
Yeah, that's true. We got another guy flying around in the other one, but this one we have two German pilots that are flying around, ghost flying, because this is the episode Getting Out when Mike and Allison consider selling Button House to a hotel chain. So let's get our first glance. So this was a fun one because they got this woman that says, hey, I can sell the place, it's a hotel chain. They can make like spas and everything. And, they were excited because they can sell the house and then kind of go into a nicer place and try to find something with no ghosts. Because they assumed that maybe it's just the house, or maybe, there'd be houses without any ghosts and they'd be okay. Little do they know, ghosts is probably more common than we think. We just don't see them. Only Allison and Kylie Minogue have the ability.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought this episode was really good, but for me, it kind of felt like parts of it was chopped up and used in our version in different episodes instead of just being in the one episode.
Mm.
And to me, it also felt like it was an episode that should have been sooner in the season than I know it was a 6th episode. They don't have a whole lot. They can't do a whole lot of character stuff, but like when Allison and Mike were looking for a house, it was almost like she didn't know she could see ghosts anywhere else.
Yeah.
Because they're driving over there, we don't see it, and she acts like it was just something new to her to see the ghost at that house with the birthday party hat on.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that seems like it could have been sooner. And when Fanny was talking about how she looked when she moved in, like a prostitute,
Right.
instead of Hattie telling Sam, she looked like a harlot with hair, harlot hair when she moved in, and her saucy hairdo. But that just also felt like it should have been sooner, because these things they've already got in the previous episode. It looked like they got to know the ghost a little bit more, and vice versa. But then, to me, in this episode, it was almost like some of those scenes should have been earlier. If that makes any sense.
No, it does. Like, the episode in the American version when she goes to the doctor's office and she's sitting and talking to the doctor who she thinks is the doctor, and then all of a sudden he gets up and walks through. He's like, "No, sorry, your doctor's really good," So,
and they driving over to the hospital, she saw ghosts over. Also, Sam did.
Yeah, that's right. The old couple, right?
Yeah,
they got hit by a car, or am I confusing the two?
Yeah, no, the old couple.
Yeah, the
Jace
old couple
drove right through them, and she freaked out because she forgot they were ghosts.
Right. So she found out that it wasn't just at that house. So it wasn't something like, pertaining to the house or her specifically at the house. Because she was like, if it was in my head, I would see the same ghost. But as I'm leaving, I see all these different ghosts.
Right.
And that was a
We
really
didn't
neat.
get that with Allison.
No, we didn't get that with Ellen. We got that.
Yeah.
When in this episode, which is the 6th, and I believe it's the final episode of the first season, if I'm not mistaken.
Sixth episode. It is.
Yeah, this is the last episode of season 1. So we've already
episode,
yeah, there's only 7 in the next season, so we'll burn through that in the next couple of. They're probably.
I think there's 7 in the rest of them.
Yeah. And there's only a total of 5 seasons. So,
right.
And of course, the UK wraps everything up a lot quicker. But let's get into the thick of it.
Okay.
So, Allison has her mate and her Mike go with it, and I thought this was really a nice callback, but at the same time ridiculous. The same guy that was showing them all those crummy apartments when they were like super broke before she realized that she got the house. I was like, I would have gotten a different realtor, like, because I remember when I first started looking, my realtor kept putting me in these. He's a really nice guy, but he kept putting me in these condos that were like next to asphalt factories. And I'm like, I don't want to breathe that shit in, man. Like, come on. Can we go to someplace a little nicer? It's like, is there any way the asphalt factory is going to be torn down? No. It's like, all right, I'm good. And then I found the other one.
Yeah, I think in our Ghost USA, the production tried to use the same actors, and they have like a ghost verse, and maybe similar in the UK version, and have just things connect,
Yeah.
Oh, he was that guy,
Yeah. Well, this is the infamous episode where you find out that the whole cast is the basement ghost. Because like the Pat has that, like he throws this voice, and he goes from to like really high, like a falsetto almost. And his basement ghost alternative does the same thing, and that's when I was like, oh yeah, they're the same guys. And Mary pops up as a basement ghost in this.
I have to look closer.
What's that?
Yeah, I didn't see that because I didn't pay that. I didn't notice that because I wasn't paying that close attention to who was who. So I think I'll go back and just visit and see if I can figure that out. I forgot all about that when you said it last time.
Yeah. That's the whole cast is the basement ghost. It's great because like they took all the big makeup that made Fanny Button as such. So like the basement ghost version of her has no like Fanny makeup, but it has all the boils and the basement ghost. You can see the difference, but like if you're really keen, the eyes are the same. So it's like, oh yeah, that's Fanny, and the other one is Pat, and there's Mary, and of course Julian kind of stands out because he's so tall.
Yeah,
but I thought
it was fun. I saw a picture of Fanny out of her makeup, ghost makeup, just as a regular person. Totally different than what I've expected. She was younger, and I will say about the UK show, they have excellent makeup and how they get these characters to look totally different from how they look normally.
Yeah. Even the burned ghosts that were. So Allison looks at all these places. She finds one flat. It's a penthouse. She goes to the top, great view, loves everything. There weren't any ghosts. And then all of a sudden she sees these 2 burnt up guys, and it turns out they're German fighter pilots. And then they're like, they see us. And then they're, hello!
They must have died before the plane hit the ground. And stuck them up there.
They're like stuck right in the air. Yeah. Hello! I thought that was hilarious. And she
does it the same accent. Hello herself.
Yeah. I thought that was great. It was very funny.
Yeah. I liked it a lot.
But they go through a slew of places. She keeps running into the birthday ghost, as you said earlier, and a slew of other different ghosts until they find this one place that's like seems to be out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And there's no
new construction.
Yeah, brand new construction, and nothing was there.
Nobody died there.
Supposedly. But it reminded me of what Robin was saying. It's like, if it make you feel better, this not the first house on the property, because he was saying I've seen houses come and go. So
yeah, Fanny's like, that makes it worse.
Yeah. So
that new house could have been built on all kinds of things because Europe is old.
Yeah, maybe she'd see like animals, because we also come to find out, I think it's next season, or is it this episode, where she sees the pigeon ghost?
It was this episode.
It was this episode. Yeah, she saw the pigeon go. Like she's like, "Oh, the pigeon," and then it flew out, and she's like, "Oh."
And then later on, the pigeon gets to Humphrey, and he jerks a little bit, and his head falls off again.
That's right. Yeah. So there's a nice there's a lot of nice tie-ins in this episode too. It was a really good wrap up for the season.
Yeah. It's fresh in my mind because I just watched it before we started recording.
Oh, smart. Very smart move.
I liked it a lot. Robin is becoming my very favorite in this. He's just so funny, and the things he says that, and there's a lot of double entendres there this week too.
Yeah, dickhead. What? I don't think that's right, Robin. No, you get go on the movie, and you mean ticket? Yeah.
And then it was like bum and different about eating bum and chips. You know, when they went through a few of those, and then the last one was bum and chips. Mary, if you notice, she turned around, had that sly smile, like she was like getting that on double entendre, and that cracked me.
Nice.
Yeah,
I didn't catch that. That's a very good catch. I did catch her like at the end of the episode when they. I'll get into that in a second, but like I did catch her at the end. We go, and I won't be peepsing in on Mr. Mike. That was hilarious. So she was like,
well, like Alberta did with Sam. Or with Jay, said he had little duckies on his bathing suit that he wears.
Yeah. But yeah, so like thing
I love with Robin is.
Go ahead. Thing you love with Robin?
I was going to say, the other thing I liked with Robin was when the group decided to get up and go into the other room. He was always already standing, but he acted like he was standing up again, even though he was standing. I just found that kind of funny. Because he's just the way he does things, this physical humor and what he says are hilarious.
Yeah, he's a very good. This is a very good ensemble, but he stands out a lot,
especially being Humphrey.
Yeah, that's the same budget savings thing. They don't have to hire another actor.
Yes.
I did love that the plot here, as as Mike and Allison go and look at other places. Meanwhile, at the house. When they were offered by the representative for the company, they're coming to find out that they're lowballing Mike and Allison by quite a bit. And the only person that really found out was the captain. And the captain was gonna like get all the other ghosts involved, but they ended up making fun of him. So he's like, well, screw you guys. And that's why we got so much basement ghosts in this episode, because he goes down there and tries to enlist them as
then he manipulates Kitty doing his dirty work.
Exactly. And when Mike and Allison come back, Kitty was like, oh, there's a whole, if they want to lowball you for the spa, there's a whole basement, don't forget. And then they can do stuff in the basement. And then she goes, oh yeah, that's a good point. And they start digging in the basement, and with the look on the woman's face, the representative from the whole, that was great. When she's like stepping, whoa! Like,
she falls, her shoe goes in somebody's eye.
Yeah.
And she falls back, and there's skeletons all around her. It was really good physical humor. I thought she did a great job.
She did. That was so good. It was this whole episode was just fantastic. It was a great way to wrap up the first season and really get the ball rolling on what has become now a global phenomenon, because we're getting Australia. If you are a member of the Ghost Worldwide, our illustrious leader and founder, that's his name is Jason. He's doing a very special gift via the good folks at Paramount. So we are excited for those things, and we will be talking about Ghosts Australia when it's released later on this year. So we're excited, and we're grateful to be a member of such a great group of friendly ghosts in the Sucked Off Worldwide. What a great name.
I think one of the other things that when I was talking about earlier with some of the elements being chopped up and put in several episodes of Ghost USA, this was the episode where it was the 6th episode, but they only the ghosts are now hearing that a hotel. Did they even talk about doing a hotel there just with themselves, right?
Right.
Before that. But this episode, the ghosts act like they never heard it before.
Yeah, no, I don't know if they forget or not, but like kind of Fanny forgets that she falls out of the window type of thing.
Could be.
I'm wondering if it's that residual thing that kind of prevents them from really remembering everything that's kind of going on surrounding them. So
because I noticed, I talked a little bit about it last week, where the ghosts seem to have one foot in the era they died, and some of the foot in in the United States, in the present time.
Yeah.
And because they will be talking about something and it has nothing to do with what he's doing for example, Pete and Trevor he was going to Trevor to do something, and he said, yeah, Burt Reynolds was married to Lonnie Anderson. And no, it was Isaac. Isaac says, I don't know who that is. And she's married to Burt Reynolds. And then he's like, yeah, like Isaac should have known that, when Isaac would never have known that because of when he died. So those little things where I think they still have a foot in the era they lived in, and they kind of revert back to it a little bit in their line of thinking.
Good call. Good call.
Way in the weeds.
Yeah, this is the thick of it, and indeed, we're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
So, like, you went so deep, you stumped me. I was like, oh, wow, that's great. I didn't even realize. So, good on you, Bill.
Did you notice there's more ghost scenes collective to get in this one, group scenes, than I've seen in the other episodes? It just seemed like they all were going into this room together and going to that room together so they could discuss things. And there's rarely a B story with the ghost in this one.
No.
It's usually just one story, right?
Yeah. I mean, the stories are intertwined. They were getting, Mike and Allison were getting out so they can find a new place to literally get out and sell the place to, while the ghosts were kind of conspiring on how to stop them from doing that because they didn't want the hotel. So, yeah, it was all really one big plot. So that's what was kind of the crescendo. Everything was kind of building into this one episode, and it really worked out well.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the strongest episodes of the season, personally. So
I agree. It was very good.
Yeah.
And the other thing that sticks out, like I've said before, is Allison doesn't have the emotional connection to the ghost, at least in this episode, because she was pretty nonchalant about them moving out.
Yeah.
She's talking to Kitty, and Kitty's, having a fit, and Allison's not really reacting to that emotion. She's just very matter of fact. Maybe we'll come by and visit. Maybe not an attitude.
Because I feel like Allison's a lot more selfish.
Yes.
She's right. I'm over you guys. I'm over this. I want the fuck out of here. Like, she's just ready. You know what I mean?
She doesn't want to know them.
Right.
It more than a surface level. Like, Sam is desperate to be friends with them.
Right.
And to have a friend group, because she's never had a friend group in her life. So a big difference.
Yeah.
And again, Mike is relegated to, almost doing nothing. And that seems like he's that way through the entire series, or the entire run of the whole show.
Yeah. I feel like he's less and less relevant as it goes on.
Great actor.
He's a good actor. And like in the beginning, when he was messing around with the house and doing repairs and he was doing the robot thing, like if you looked at if the clip brought you here for this episode from last episode that we were talking about, where we do the parallel with Jay bursting in the wall, making that big hole in between the two rooms, and Mike doing the same thing,
right,
and bothering both the ladies of the house, the mansion that was. There wasn't a beat for beat copy on this one to the US one. This one is kind of where they kind of split paths and kind of go in this realm of like.
Right. They took some of the elements and put it into some of the episodes there, but not the full episode.
Right. And they kind of don't really take any more elements other than that from this point on, if I recall.
It may be just a little bit here and there, but nothing's really significant, I don't think.
Yeah. Because like so like Pat doesn't have a ghost power. Like, only Mary has a ghost power in the show.
Right.
So it's Pat and Robin.
What's Pat's?
Pat doesn't have what I'm saying. Robin. Okay. It's Robin because he can manipulate the lights.
Okay, just like Thor, yeah.
And Julian, excuse me.
Yeah, he can push
Julian can push he can push stuff.
Yeah.
So and the rest don't really have a ghost power.
And has anyone really been walked through other than Mary?
Wasn't Pat walked through?
Was he? He may have been in nothing, because we haven't, like ours, it's significantly painful for ours to do it.
Yeah.
And there's usually some sort of element through it, but I haven't really seen, if I recall, very many times that happened.
Yeah, I know it's probably
Mary smells like char.
Right. Like, you'll smell like Mary when you smell burning when somebody walks through Mary.
Yes.
But yeah,
I love her too.
Yeah.
I think she and Robin are my favorite characters, I think.
Yeah. I like all the characters. It's just when I first watched this, I didn't really like Kitty or Mike because the way they were portrayed, like the characters that they were made, like Kitty was very silly
Yes, and annoying. Yeah.
and kind of like annoying. It's like, why do they have to make that particular character like that? Like some because I was used to Roberta and she's kind of like badass, bootlegger. She'll shoot you. You know what I mean? She was badass.
Yeah.
And then Kitty's total opposite. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I don't even know where her ghost would be in how any of ours were made up of any of their characters. I'm not sure.
I think she's a mix of Flower and Roberta.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like, Flower because she's forgetful, not because Flower's silly. Because
Flower's smart. We're finding out.
she's smart.
Yeah,
she's
very smart.
Dim-witted.
She got into law school.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we're, I think Kitty is just like, most of the silly part of.
And she's so innocent, I think.
And then she does
they're playing that up. She doesn't not necessarily dumb, but she's just very naive and innocent because she never really had a life outside of the house.
Right. They didn't really teach her like they did, like Flower got that education. So
yeah. Back on your point about Allison, being a little meaner than Sam, and I forgot what I was going with that point because I hate that when the road just switches. Because our Sam is nicer than her. And I know what I was going to do. Mike versus Jay. Jay becomes more integral in a lot of the stories where instead of just being the befuddled husband who, can't do anything, can't see him, like Mike is just kind of there and not really needed in any of the plots for the most part. And Jay is very needed in a lot of the plots. I would say, a good portion of them because he is the co-lead of the series. So big difference on Mike and Jay.
Yeah,
I think even more so than between Sam and Allison, because Sam can sometimes switch back and forth from being that needy Sam to being smart Sam.
Right.
Yeah. But Allison, we just seen that she's badass, and just that portion of her personality. I haven't seen a lot of sentimental part, even when she's talking to, her husband, Mike.
But you do get a bit of it at the end of the episode because one of the good things the Ghost did was they were like, Allison, now that you're back, we got news, come. And they had played this like really sweet music and they're leading Allison. And it turns out that the queen or the empress of probably old Germany gave the buttons like this special gem and it's worth like all this. It's priceless, she says. And it's like this will probably be enough money so you can keep the house and everything will be okay and we'll all be happy. And and it's like this really, and she goes, oh, that's very sweet, and then she finds it behind the wood board and she pulls it out and then she opens it and then they go everybody like gasped and I was like, oh cool, like I thought it was really going to be the way they filmed that was so good because I really thought it was going to be this great gem and she was gonna
like Jay when they found that watch, or Sam and Jay on Elias, so I thought that was going to be similar too, like you're saying, but
no, it was not. Sorry, pawned it. It's like which is a very British thing to do. It's like you think you're going to get somewhere and you get stuck. It's like that's kind of how life is. Like, I feel like if there were,
I says never like you think it's going to be.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like if you were to find ghosts and they told you where something was because so much time has passed, it's probably not there anymore. Because I had
Isaac's manuscript. Buried.
Yeah, but that was still there, which I thought
that was
wild.
But you never know.
Yeah. Like I left a note in my old house. It's like, hey, if because I thought I was going to keip that house, so I was like, hey, if this is a relative of mine, come find me. Here's my phone number. I don't have the phone number anymore. So if the guy who bought my house, he probably like found it because they ripped it up, terribly. Probably found it was like, more trash this place.
I saw a news story on our TV where some kid found a bottle that had washed ashore on the coast, and it was from somebody, like 100 years ago or something to that effect. And they found the family.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I haven't seen a follow-up to that, but yeah, they found the family to give that bottle to.
Wow. Well, speaking of finding Isaac's lost pieces, they actually found one of the dinghies from Captain Cook's ship, the infamous British soldier, pirate turned British soldier, or vice versa. So,
Cool.
and Cook happens to be one of my ancestors because,
Wow.
yeah, my grandmother's side, her grandfather was Cook, Susan Howard, and I can't remember his first name, something Cook. No, it was Susan Cook, excuse me, and Moses Howard. That's who they were her grandparents. And basically, Moses was the first freed slave in our family.
Wow.
And Susan Cook was, I think she was a cleaner or something like that. So they had gotten together and had my great grandmother, her mother, and they were all part of the Warfield family. So it's a big family, but like Cook and Warfield are the two big families that own my property. My family is property, which is kind of messed up. So hopefully somebody sees this and I can get some restitution, because this is all Maryland and Virginia.
One of my uncles, he did one of those ancestry things, and he traced ours on my dad's side back to Wales, and my mom's back to Ireland.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, my great grandmother, the Warfield family, comes from Wales, so we're also Welsh.
Oh, cool.
They were really.
Yeah, my name William is actually Welsh.
Oh yeah, that's a very Welsh
name. And it could be used as Liam, because I've gone by Liam myself, or William, which I kind of find odd. What about Bill? Where does Bill come from? It doesn't. It would think it would come from William, because there's no B in William. Liam, there's the last four letters.
Right. At least that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But
where did Bill come from?
I don't know. One point I wanted before we move on is when I was saying that Allison isn't as emotionally attached. I think if the show had more episodes where they could explore more things, like getting deeper in, finding the feelings for each other in there, but they just don't have time. Because if they do too many character developments, they can't have a story, because they have 7 or 8 episodes only to get the whole show through. So they want to concentrate maybe on the funny with little bits of the character development, because they don't have time for a lot of it.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I think it's done masterfully. And
absolutely, doesn't hurt it.
Yeah, in all honesty, but no, that's a good point. They don't really have the space in which to kind of roam.
Right, because no ghost gets their own episode completely, I don't think.
Well, no, Humphreys does, ironically.
He does?
Yeah. He gets a whole episode.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. He gets a whole, I forget which season. It's like the 2nd or 3rd season, but he gets a whole dedicated episode. And then, and it's a connection to Robin.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious, because it's the same guy.
Yeah.
It's the same actor,
Yeah. Poor Humphrey's head. I mean, why don't they just pick it up when they see it?
Yeah.
they just kick it or let it stay
around,
there.
Knocked off it gets thrown over the roof. It goes everywhere, man. That guy's really going all over the place.
And he's not as annoying as Crash is. So you think they would like to keep him on his head, on his body.
Right. But there was a lot of fun in this week's episode.
It really was.
Yeah, it was a great send off for the first season.
Yes.
All right. Well, so of course it's wrapped up this week, because the season finale on these guys, they find all the bodies. The woman says, forget it, we're not doing this, which kind of works out for Mike and Allison, because there really wasn't any money there. But they said, because these are, but then the funniest thing was Allison going, but they're not ours, we didn't put them there. I was like, no, it's
no kidding.
yeah. It's what do you call it? It's they're plague ghosts, or plague victims or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, if they're victims from the plague, then you're gonna have to get the historical society. Oh, it's gonna take a long time to go through that. And then the historical guy comes in and he's like, wow, there's so much gold in here. And then Allison was like, what? He's like, well, metaphorically. It's like, ah. Yeah. So
it's like when they found Thor's bones, you know, and that's another element I think they chopped and put into a separate episode of ours.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so
That's a good point. I didn't even realize that, but yeah, they did discover their bones. Didn't they find Trevor's head too?
yeah, when he had that bait to plate fishing for the package for the guests,
Right.
and the very first one is the guest pulls up a skull, and it turns out to be Trevor's because of that jawline.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of little parallels that kind of work out, or little bits that kind of got molded into the show.
Yeah, I love it. I wonder how the other versions are they going to take it? You know, how much of the UK's version are they going to put into it? Like ours, you know, there's a point where ours just stops really doing anything from the UK because they've moved on it so quickly because we have so many episodes in ours, so they don't have to take much more, if anything else, from the UK. Yeah. I'm not sure how Australia or German, how many episodes they have per.
I'm not sure, but I did see the first episode of Germany Ghosts, and it's not beat for beat the same. It's very similar. It's more like ours. They have the couple is very similar to Jay and Sam, and the way they act are very similar. They're not goofy. You know, he's kind of more involved, and the woman of the house, the Button or Hetty, she reminds me a lot of Gwendolyn Christie from, I don't know if you ever watched Game of Thrones.
No, I didn't.
No. Did you watch Star Wars at all, or is that forbidden?
No, I've.
Yeah, I don't know. You're Trekkie. Some Trekkies are like, I don't watch Star Wars. You crazy?
Yeah. I have seen most of Star Wars stuff.
You saw was it the Rise of Skywalker? All those?
Yes, I saw all the feature movies. I've seen in a couple TV shows.
Okay. So I'm
a huge Mandalorian show fan.
Yeah, the Mandalorian's great. Gwendolyn Christie plays Captain Phantom or Phantom, the all silver, like chrome suit stormtrooper, the really tall woman.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. That the main woman of the house reminds me of that. That actress. I thought it was actually her, and then I was like, well, she speaks German, and then I realized, oh wait, it's not her at all. But yeah, it's very interesting. It's a very interesting show, and they have beat for beat some of the same cast. It's the no pants guy, the cave person. They have a German soldier, but not an SS.
Oh, yeah, they got to walk a line there.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that. So, still, German soldiers kind of hard to get up.
It would fit in well with our government.
Yeah, that's true. Right now, it's probably a favorite. Trump probably is like, I want more ghosts, especially the German ones. I want to see more of the old uniform.
It's another great impression you do. Man, you're in the wrong career. You need to be out there and doing impressions like Rich Little on the stage of Vegas.
Oh man, that'd be fun. But yeah, we don't have anything from the Ghost World Wide. But guys, if you're watching, and I hope you do, definitely tag us in something, and we'll feature it on the show. So
I have something.
Oh, and you have something to give them.
I had sent a message to Joe Port, one of the Joes that are creators, about your third Joe, about Nancy. I told him that I asked him, will we ever get any kind of backstory on Nancy? And I'm like, I know she's not part of the main 8, but the ghost community seems to really like her a lot, and people kind of wondered about that. So he answered me and said, yes, ! We are talking about it now.
Oh, wow.
So read my mind.
That's awesome. Yeah. Look at that. First news here, guys. Yeah. So yeah, I'll be sure to tag the everybody in Ghost World Wide and make it a highlight so that you guys can this little fun tidbit of Nancy news. Nancy news. Yay, Nancy news.
I remember when she was only in the one episode on the first season and a little bit in the very last when they fell through the floor. Right. So in the second season, I remember sending another message to Joe Port and saying that, I really love Nancy. I'm grateful that you've been finding ways to work her into episodes, even if she doesn't have a 2 or 3 lines, And then he wrote back, we love Betsy. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Betsy's amazing. She's one of she does a lot of voiceover work, and she's got a really distinct voice. So it's like when you hear it in shows, I'm like, oh, like my little cousin he has his own kids Paramount Plus profile. and he watches all the kid shows, and then I hear her voice. I'm like, oh, that's Nancy, and I look it up, and sure enough, it's her.
Now modern day with oh, sorry.
No, that was it.
I think with modern day technology, it's easier to speak to the writers and the runners of the shows, because back in the past, nobody knew who the writers really were,
No.
or who the names of the producers. At least when I'm growing up before the internet, and now people know who the showrunners are, what kind of what they do, how all of that works. So you can contact them and give them your 2 cents, instead of waiting for a fan letter or to the letter to the, they may never ever see it, but they get to know in real time, if they need to pivot, if things not working for the audience.
Right.
It's a lot easier for them, and a lot harder because people get their opinions out there that may not be nice.
Right. That's true. I'm sure somebody says something that they probably like. Oh, okay, blocked. That's what the great block button is for. So if you never get bothered, you won't get bothered from us. Let me tell you, we're very big fans of the show, and we respect the craft greatly. So
nothing but love.
Nothing but love. Even I like the Star Wars. There was great things in the Acolyte. That was a big controversial thing, and I thought, there were some things that I didn't agree with, but I really love the lightsaber fights at the battle. And there's really this real shrouded mystery that we're never going to know, because everybody had to go and complain, and now Disney said, okay, pulling the plug on that. So I'll never know what happened. It's quite sad. But maybe they'll do comics. There's a guy named My Figure Universe who might put it out there. He's always into the comic world. But that is going to wrap it up for this week's episode of Ghosts, and that wraps up the first season. So for sure, be sure to come back next week into season 2. It's going to be a lot of fun shedding light on ghosts. So be money. If you wouldn't, please take us out.
Yeah. All right. I hope everyone has a hauntingly good Saturday, or whenever you see this, have a hauntingly good day.